This is going to be a very quick video, probably under 5 minutes or so. But I really feel impressed by the Spirit to say this. So, 2 Chronicles, chapter 20, verse 20, real quick. One of the things I've just noticed is that there are not a lot of, unless you're conservative in the Adventist church, you're not going to get a lot of the prophetic message. You're not going to get, both generally and on the liberal side, you're not going to get those really potent, substantive messages, in my opinion, that we've taught ministers to preach and to say historically. And I believe that among the Gen Xers, and I've learned this from my dad as well, that there's a certain prophecy, that there's a fatigue when it comes to prophecy, that people misapplied the prophecies during like the early 2000s and such, and they use that to kind of force people in the church. But there are two verses that I want to bring out just addressing this subject, and I want to be very clear and very quick. 2 Chronicles chapter 20 verse 20 says this: "And they rose early in the morning and went forth into the wilderness of Tekoa. And as they went forth, Jehoshaphat stood and said, Hear me, O Judah, and ye inhabitants of Jerusalem, believe in the Lord your God, and so shall ye be established. Believe in his prophets, so shall ye prosper." The second text I want to go to is 1 Thessalonians. 1 Thessalonians. And we're going to go to 1 Thessalonians 5. 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 20. Real quick, as I said. Despise not prophesying. Here's the thing I want to make. Yes, have ministers in our church misapplied the prophecies. Especially times like at the turn of the century where people thought a bunch of bad stuff was going to happen and Jesus was going to come. Yes, they've done all that. But 2 Chronicles chapter 20 verse 20 and 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 12 say that we are not to despise prophecy. We're not to despise hearing the prophetic messages that God has had for us. And with all that has happened, there's an American Pope now who has just met a few months ago. Like the first world leader he met with was Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And if you notice how the entire world seemed to come together at the death of Pope Francis, we're seeing prophetic events play out literally in real time. And right now, in my strongest belief and opinion, which I believe to be given to me by this Holy Spirit, we can't despise prophecies. And prophecy has been not just the cornerstone of the SDA Church, but it has been one of the cornerstones for how we know that God exists. Jesus says in the book of John chapter 14, "I tell you these things before, so that when they happen, you would what? You would believe." That's John chapter 14, verse 29. And so, believe ye his prophets, so shall you prosper. I'm hopefully going to make more videos expounding upon that, but I really just want to make that and put that out there real quick just to say this. There is no shame, and there should be no shame nor stigma in the SDA Church for talking about prophecy, for speaking the prophetic message from the pulpit, and we should strive to not just talk about it more, but talk about it within the light and the context, and hopefully, with the help and direction of the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit also says in John chapter 16, or it's in the book of John, that the Holy Spirit will guide us into all truth, right? He's also called the Spirit of truth. So, by God's grace, let's seek to not just hear and want to listen to the prophecies, but understand the prophecy. Take time to see what God said concerning certain events, because the truth of the matter is that Jesus is coming soon, and we ought to be ready so that we can hear Jesus say, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant." All right, happy Sabbath, and God bless.